Thank you, Mr. Manager. Next topic, please.
Thank you. So we'd like to give you a CARES Act update. It's been a few months since we talked about CARES Act, and I'm not sure if this will be the last CARES Act update. If not, it'll be very close to the last update. But what we'd like to do is not just talk to you about sort of the buckets, the big picture categories that we put money into. We want to tell you some of the stories about ways in which you positively impacted the community through your actions, the business community, the nonprofit community, our citizens and homeowners. So we have a team of staff here to talk to you about some of the ways that we were able to help the community through the pandemic, and Laura will get us kicked off.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. As Chris said, I'm kicking off this presentation, and this presentation is a team effort because spending and investing the CARES funds in the city and in the community was a team effort with professionals from across the city government. As you recall, last summer, the city received just under $43 million of federal stimulus funds, CARES funds, and these were to help the city and the community navigate the pandemic. The bar chart here is a summary of how the funds were spent, and I will be going through the categories from left to right. And one quick note, the PowerPoint slides and a video of this presentation will be posted on the city website tomorrow on the COVID-19 response page. So going from left to right, the first category is citizen assistance. And spend in that category is about $1.5 million, with the programs being open until September 30th, 2021. Business assistance is next, with spend coming in at about $5 million. That program is closed. The largest category is the COVID response category, coming in at just under $23 million. That includes PPE, facility improvement, and payroll costs. The city technology category comes in at about $7 million, school technology $3.3 million, and the PPE for the schools at $2.9 million. As Chris said, the focus of our presentation this evening is the funds that we got out into the community in the form of citizen assistance and business assistance, and those are the first two bars on the left, and those total just under $7 million. Before we get to that, though, I did want to review the largest category and the elements in that. The COVID response coming in at $22.9 million. That consists of spend on hazard pay of $3 million, which took place in late 2020. The investment in PPE and facility improvements in response to the pandemic came in at $3.9 million, and the city will be submitting $15.9 million in payroll reimbursement. As I said, the efforts across the city government were substantial to make and execute the spend plan for CARES. The grant programs were developed and administered by staff, and this was on top of their regular duties, so the pace was very high at times, and the leaders of those teams will be presenting this evening, and Mary Riley from Human Services will kick us off.
Thanks, Laura. I don't know if I can multitask there. Okay, so I just want to highlight a few of the things that are in the PowerPoint because I really want to tell you about some of the citizens we assisted. So the CARES Act funding that you allocated for citizens assistance allowed us to provide about $947,000 for rent or mortgages and or utilities, and the utilities included the water, gas, and electric. Our rent payments averaged $2,600 $4,499. Mortgages were $4,862, and utilities averaged $743. However, the thing to highlight here is that the 294 Chesapeake households included 370 adults and 328 children who benefited from this assistance. And obviously, I can't multitask. Sorry about that. So there you have it, and it's also in your slides. $374,000 was spent on hotel rooms for 185 Chesapeake residents who were experiencing homelessness in our city. And that was so that we could provide a safe and warm and dry place for them to stay during the pandemic. This met a tremendous need for the city because the Chesapeake Area Shelter Team, or CAST, churches were not able to open their doors to the homeless because of pandemic safety reasons. $94,000 was awarded through a grant process to 14 nonprofit organizations serving Chesapeake residents to assist with funding for materials that allowed for virtual teaching, cleaning supplies, and technology devices that enhanced their programs or enabled them to continue to provide virtual services to children, youth, or seniors, senior adults, that is. So these are the numbers, but let me quickly tell you about a few of the citizens that we assisted with this funding. Michael, who is age 40, is single and recently widowed and the father of 2 children. He worked as a handyman, but his hours were cut at the beginning of the pandemic since people were apprehensive about having folks come into their homes. He was positive for COVID in September, had a stroke in January, and had to go through physical therapy. We worked with his private landlord to assist with his rent and utility payments. He enrolled in our fatherhood program, and he went back to work this past June. Kathy, who's age 24, was referred by the health department's baby care nurse. She was a new mother who had just returned to a new job and was let go when the pandemic started. She hadn't been in her job long, so she wasn't able to collect unemployment. Her landlord wasn't going to renew her lease because he saw what was going to happen. She wasn't going to be able to pay, and he didn't want that liability because he also had a mortgage to pay on the property. So we worked closely with the landlord to ensure that her rent would be paid, and we got her caught up. And so the landlord was able to renew her lease, and she was able to stay in the apartment with her child, and then shortly after that, find employment. Donna, who was age 57, was hospitalized with the coronavirus in October. She was released a few weeks later, but had lingering symptoms and required oxygen. She was unable to return to work while seeing her cardiologist and pulmonologist. She hasn't been released to return to work yet and is still unable to walk for more than a few minutes at a time. But we were able to assist her with her mortgage and her utility payments so that she feels like she's okay and can maintain herself, and we also connected her to other resources in the community. So these are only a few of the stories, but I hope it gives you an idea of how this funding helped our citizens. You saw, or you see a comment from one of the citizens that was sent to us in an email. And most of the citizens we spoke with, they didn't know where their next meal was coming from, how they were going to have a roof over their head the next day. And we heard many tears, and Ms. Riley, I just don't know what else to do. I need some help. So they all wanted to say thank you, so I'm saying thank you for them. And I really do mean that. And I just wanted to really take this opportunity as a way to be able to say thank you. I have a great team of folks that helped me to put all this together. I couldn't have done it without them, but most of all, I couldn't have done it without council's allocation of this funding. I have to say that this was one of the highlights of my career, and I thank you very much for that.
So from the utility side, the stories are very much the same. Imagine, and I know when I've been in this business now for almost 30 years, I had never imagined the opportunity where the utilities staff could call a customer and say, we may be able to help you pay your bill. If you qualify for this program that's been granted by the state, we may be able to help you. And my staff was making those phone calls when the state program that was just for water and sewer bills was implemented first in late December. And we had many of those same type of stories of people that were just desperate. And we were able to come out and provide them significant assistance. Overall, as you can see on the slide, we were able thus far, and it's not done yet, but thus far, to provide $1.5 million to our customers to help them pay their Chesapeake portions of their utility bills, of their water and sewer bill. And that went to a total of 3,395 households. To make that happen, I've got to credit the staff that did this, because I had crews working literally every weekend day for almost a month. We handed out over 7,500 door tags. We mailed 7,500 postcards. We called customers. We worked with HRPDC and did advertisements, newspaper, TV, radio, billboards. It was a Herculean effort to help educate our customers on this program. And at that time, when this was released, we thought we had 1 month to get all this money out. Well, COVID lasted longer than that month, so it got extended, and is now extended through November of this year. But so we are still being able to help customers, and I just processed another payment approval today. I think it was for about $40,000 more. Next slide, please. And truly, it's all over the map. These are the dots of the households and businesses that we were able to assist, because this wasn't simply residential, it was also businesses. And so they really were all over the city of Chesapeake. Neighbors that we didn't know needed help. And we have been able to help all of those, many of those neighbors. Next slide, please. Now, this grant still is active. Unfortunately, the participation has gone down significantly, which frankly we expected. We still have in our fund $624,000 remaining in our portion of the fund. And I say in our portion of the fund because of that $1.5 million from that first slide, $1 million of that came from HRSD's funding under that same state program. And that $1 million went to the City of Chesapeake portion of Chesapeake customers' bills. So we had agreed early on, and this was with the guidance from the state, they said this program is not to help the utilities, it's to help our customers. So when our customers applied to us, we didn't simply cut the funds off and just pay the Chesapeake portion of their bills. We felt that the right thing to do to meet the intent of the program was to pay both the HRSD and Chesapeake portion, because frankly, a lot of our customers don't understand that whole split anyway. So we did that, but we had agreement with HRSD. They were doing the same thing for our customers. So if a customer applied to HRSD, they paid the whole bill, or they credited the customer for the whole bill. If they applied to the city, we did the same thing. We can see the benefit, because $1 million of HRSD's portion, that's almost $1 out of 9. They received just over $9 million, and over 10% of that went to our customers. So we do still have funds left. HRSD has over $1 million left. And frankly, although we have small groups, I mentioned $40,000 I approved today, we expect that the majority of that funding won't be applied for unless we do another big push, or as we're doing now, because the state of emergency has come to an end, because by the state code, disconnects can resume in September. We are sending out notices saying that disconnects can resume in September. And we are starting to get more and more calls from customers saying, I haven't paid my bill for the last 18 months. What can I do? And we have a long history of making arrangements, but we're also making sure that everybody is aware of this program. But we know that a lot of customers just frankly aren't going to avail themselves of these funds until they really are up against the wall. And so I would consider it, from my part, while this program has been an incredible, enormous success, I want to make sure we use every penny that we've received from the state and the federal government to the benefit of our customers. It's been great so far, and we have helped out so many people that had desperate needs. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask one quick question? to Mr. Murray. Could I just ask one quick question? Just the amount that we have left in our utility fund. I know it's over $1 million for HRSD, and I'm sorry, I was writing it down. How much does Chesapeake have left for our utility?
We
relief?
have about $625,000
Okay,
remaining.
thank you. That's what I thought.
You're welcome.
Thanks, David.
I'm sorry, I didn't even know.
Mayor, members of council, it's really a pleasure to come to you and talk to you about the small business program. I'll just say a couple of things. You know, when COVID hit, it really decimated the national economy, the state economy, and certainly our local economy here. And I want to thank you. Thank you for giving our staff an opportunity to participate in this program. You know, when the program started, and you'll see the timeline there, when we started June 8th of 2020, we didn't know how long this was going to last. We didn't really know how much money we had to give to the small business community. We were kind of flying by the seat of our pants, quite honestly. And, you know, during COVID, a lot of the traditional economic development activities that we participate in, you couldn't do them. You know, we couldn't travel. We couldn't really have face-to-face meetings and tell people about how great a business location Chesapeake is. So this small business assistance program really was, it kind of helped keep us sane during those early periods of COVID. I want to tell you that this program has been extremely successful, and one of the things I'm most proud about this program, and I think you should be proud about it as well, is that we administered this program in a fiscally conservative way. Many communities across Hampton Roads, across the state of Virginia, they had programs where they pretty much were just handing out money. We made the decision very early on that we wanted this program to be legally, and from an audit standpoint, we wanted it to be bulletproof. So we made the determination that our program was going to be more of a reimbursement program. And that did a couple of things. It helped us truly identify where the need was, and also it kind of created a paper trail. So we feel very good about the position that we're in. When this program gets fully audited, we think we've got a strong foundation to stand on to make sure that it passes muster. So how did we do? Overall, we gave away, or the businesses qualified and were issued almost $5.4 million in local assistance. You can see that in round one, we started kind of small. That round one money really came from the CDBG, excuse me, from CDBG, and we were really targeting veteran-owned, minority-owned, women-owned businesses. We started small. We didn't have a lot of interest initially, but in round two, you can see that things picked up significantly. Round three, as we started to wind down, we weren't sure that businesses still understood what this program was all about. And actually, at the end of round three, we heard from members of council, we heard from the manager's office about the possibility of letting previous grant recipients have a second bite of the apple. So initially, a grantee was only eligible for $10,000 max. And again, they had to provide receipts that said that they had legitimate business expenses, and we would reimburse them $10,000. Well, after round three, we realized that there were many small businesses in the community that were still hurting, that had received grants, but still were in need. So following the advice of council and the manager's office, we opened up round four, in which grantees could receive, first-time grantees could receive a maximum of $12,500, and previous grant recipients could receive another $2,500. I can't tell you how successful that aspect of the program was. As you can see in round four, that was almost, I guess it was the second largest amount of money that we issued, but in terms of the amount of businesses, it was almost 400 businesses received grants in round four alone. All right. In terms of the breakdown, in terms of where the grant money was spent, you can see, and this is fairly common, you can see that Greenbrier, we received more applications in Greenbrier than any other segment of our community. Second was Great Bridge in southern Chesapeake, and then you see additional breakdowns from the other sections of our community. When it comes to the industry balance, I think it's really important to note that the type of industries that received the most funding were really the ones that were most hardest hit. Very early on in issuing the grants, we really tried to focus on the businesses that were shut down, the personal service business like hairdressers, barbers, those folks that are important in our community, but because of COVID had to shut down their operation. So we focused on those. Restaurants, we also know were very hard hit. So really, when you look at the breakdown of how the money was distributed across our local economy, we're really glad that most of the folks that received funds were the type of businesses that were most in need of the grant funds. Something else that we're very proud to say is that we really focused on minority businesses, women-owned business, veteran-owned businesses, across the board, across all 4 rounds. About 20% of the businesses that received grants fell in those categories. So we're really, really pleased with that. Lastly, I will tell you that one of the best decisions we made in administering these grants was when we made the decision to actually deliver the checks to the businesses, okay? That might not seem like a big deal, but beginning in round 2, we noticed that we were having problems with mailing the checks to the recipients. We would mail the checks out, and then people would call us and say, hey, I applied for the grant. Did I receive the funds or not? And we found several checks that basically just got lost in the mail. So we made the decision at that point in time that we were going to hand deliver these checks. I know a couple of you actually accompanied me in delivering those checks to those businesses, and I will tell you it was an important decision we made because it really helped us at the staff level. It really, we were able to see just how impactful these monies have been. I can't tell you what it means. As someone, I've been doing this for over 25 years now, and this has been the most meaningful experience for me as an economic developer throughout my entire career. To talk to a business, to see the tears well up in their eyes, and they tell you that without this money, they would have had to close their business. It really means a lot. So on the behalf of those businesses, I want to say thank you. I certainly want to thank the staff of the Economic Development Department, the Economic Development Authority, the support that you've given us, the manager, and certainly our city attorney has helped us as well with crafting the application. It's really been a successful program, and I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. But another important aspect of this program is that for us in economic development, this really exposed us to a segment of our business community that typically we don't deal with. We deal with small businesses, but we don't deal with micro businesses. Well, exposing us to that segment of our community has helped us learn a little bit more about them, but most importantly, understand what they need. So kind of as a follow-up to this grant program, some of the next steps that we're going to be taking is developing a business education series for those micro businesses, for those small businesses, so we can make sure that they have the tools and the information they need to continue to be successful here within the city of Chesapeake. So that's my time. Again, I just want to thank you for your support in this program and just really let you know that it has truly had an impact in our business community.
Yes.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the time today. I've showed you a lot of spreadsheets over the past year and a half about facts and figures, but we probably didn't do it justice, the stories about how you have impacted the community. It is an exceptional team, but you all made it possible, and I echo the thank you on behalf of the staff, but certainly on behalf of a very grateful community. We weathered the pandemic and continue to weather the pandemic very, very well, and your commitment to providing outstanding service to our customers and community, and as you heard from the team, doing it in a way that's fiscally responsible and sustainable. It's made all the difference to us, and we really appreciate it.